I've been conducting surveys of sales activity across Sydney for the past 5 years, and our latest quarterly data shows that this is the strongest Sydney market in that time. Now, I look for suburbs with a pattern of rising sales activity, which means buyers' demand is rising. And right now, the Greater Sydney area has 67 suburbs with clearly strong rising buyer demand. And to put that in perspective, 6 months ago, there were only 18 growth suburbs, and 9 months ago, there weren't any at all, as the market then was continuing to fall. Now, that winter 2019 survey back then pinpointed the bottom of the Sydney trough, and this new survey provides further strong evidence that the revival that we've seen, showing how much has changed since the end of 2019. Now, as one marker, the number of suburbs we classify as declining markets has dropped from 66 6 months ago to 12 now. And all this information and a lot more feeds into our new edition of Top 5 Sydney Hotspots, which we published this week. In this report, I nominate the 5 locations I think provide the best prospects for future growth. And in the current market climate, it hasn't been easy making those 5 choices. Some very worthy options have been left out of the report. The suburbs with growing sales activity are spread across 22 different municipalities in the Greater Sydney area, but it's clear that the greatest uplift right now is being felt at the top end of the market, and that the revival is not evenly distributed. The leading local government areas in terms of the number of growth suburbs are the Northern Beaches, Sydney City, and inner west municipalities. An exception to all that is Blacktown, which is showing healthy signs of revival. But other outer areas like Penrith, Liverpool, Camden, Campbelltown only have small numbers of growth markets, with sales levels still remaining fairly moderate at this point. And we still have several locations which I continue to classify as danger markets. But overall, things are rising, and there's evidence that prices are responding to the overall uplift in buyer demand. But to date, few locations have returned to the pre-downturn levels of pricing we saw in 2018. There's only 8% of suburbs that have recorded annual growth in their median house prices, and 15% which have had year-on-year growth in their median unit prices. But many suburbs have recorded price growth in the most recent quarter, while remaining down in annual terms, and this reflects the emphatic revival in many Sydney markets towards the end of 2019 and the early part of 2020. Examples that include the suburb of Colliery, for example, which is down 15% in annual terms still, but it rose 9.5% in the latest quarter, and the suburb of Mona Vale, which is still down 8% in annual terms, but rose 2.5% in the local quarter. Many examples like that across the Greater Sydney area. And the leading area is the Northern Beaches. 9 suburbs with rising sales activity, lots of others with steady buyer demand, including places like Freshwater and Frenchs Forest. We really like these steady, consistent suburbs, which showed steady sales even during the post-boom correction phase. So we clearly had to include the Northern Beaches in this new edition of our Top 5 Sydney Hotspots report. And to find out more about that and the other locations that we've highlighted in our highly sought after report, get yourself a copy of Top 5 Sydney Hotspots report from the hotspotting.com.au website, published this week. One of our most popular reports in one of the strongest rising markets in the country. So get yourself a copy. Bye for now.